You're a child. I don't think so.
You guys gonna stay for the class? Or am I gonna be it?
I have to attend another class.
Got some coffee, got some cakes.
All right,
everybody. Maybe well, safe trip.
Absolutely.
Great.
I know people don't realize, I may not be the world's best teacher, but you just show up every day. And
Yeah, get off.
it's over. There's no question, there's no question.
My wife taught at Utah High School for many years.
Right.
And she has retained those relationships. Teacher very often is formative in the life of a young person. They never realize it. The teacher doesn't. Sometimes they do. It's a real blessing when there is that kind of feedback. But generally, it doesn't happen. But it's very important. I totally agree. Because in many respects, teacher is a life coach.
Got a piece of cake.
No, I had
Cake?
fruit. Did you believe that?
That's fruit. You gotta get rid of the fruit, otherwise after today, boom, it's closed.
I credit some of my relationships with my teachers as being absolutely formative.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I wrestled. I had coaches.
You're thinking about it. I know you're thinking about it.
I would rather
Don't totally
literally
be out.
suffer death than to let them go.
Didn't know that you.
How's the name on it?
I know.
Oh, thanks. 12 guys, let this be the least people we have the rest of the 10 days. The rabbi's gone.
All right.
I'm walking it home,
You wanna take those?
No, you give everybody a sandwich for breakfast. It's all good. Have a good one, everybody.
All right, bye, Alan.
Pulling your chain. That's good that you have obligation. It means you feel it. I mean, everybody here just either has had or had
Okay.
obligations. So.
Bacteria.
But we love you more here.
What were.
Bye, Larry.
So long,
Every day.
have a great one.
There's sandwiches.
I don't think.
Oh, the sandwich club.
Oh,
Sandwiches.
What kind of
Breakfast
sandwiches?
sandwiches.
You know, he was right, you know, he's got.
well, I'm gonna take one for your trip tomorrow. Or Tuesday. It'll
What
be a
kind of
little
sandwiches do
bullshit.
you have there?
David,
Yesterday.
Hello,
how are you? David,
doing good, thank God. Great.
little square. Yeah. Bradley. Got him choked up in a little place there.
How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Go get my hearing aids. No wonder I can't hear.
Hello, hi Nadine.
Hi, how are you?
Dr. Glickman, how are you?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
I even think you're.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Okay, good.
Oh, we got the microphone.
I can. I can.
Who's?
I'm in Steve Andrews' hotel room in Tel Aviv.
I think it goes in here.
Okay.
Okay. Now can you hear us better?
I can hear you great now, yes. But I can't see you at the center. Do you guys have a camera?
We're
there?
getting there, hold on.
My hair.
One thing at a time, one thing at a time. Okay, okay, I see you. See Bradley.
So how long did it take Steve to get involved in something illicit?
How long did it take Steve? What?
To get involved with something illicit? Is he being?
Hi.
You know, I don't ask. We have an agreement. I don't ask and they don't tell.
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi, Chana.
Boker tov.
Boker tov to you.
Anna, how are you?
I'm doing great. I am totally cancer free.
Wow.
Yeah, so they took out my cancer and now I'm lung cancer survivor.
Good for you.
Wow.
I
Wow.
feel very fortunate because so many people prayed for me. And my doctor is actually friends with, you all know Mimi Coleman. So her son and my doctor are like best friends since they were 10 years old. So I did a prayer for him before he started my surgery. So that was wonderful. And the Heim Center has been wonderful bringing me food. And I have a freezer full of food. And anyway, and I think
Great.
Mizrahi did very well with me. So people were bringing food to me, because I keep kosher. So, and some
Very
people
nice.
cooked, and Doris and Ron came over last night. They bought dinner. So it's been really a nice,
Great.
I cannot say good
Great.
experience, but I'm doing great.
Great.
So thank you
And then they
all.
said no treatments are going to be necessary.
Nothing.
No follow-up treatments.
Nothing.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
it was a robotic surgery. So, he went in, the doctor was playing like a video game and he took the cancer out. It was like 2 centimeters. And yeah, so people should really have checkups and make sure that,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
because I had my surgery Friday and then, and by, in the afternoon, Saturday I was walking around. But
Amazing.
I had a woman with me and my son came, which was wonderful. He was with me for 2 days. And anyway, so thank you all for your prayers and good wishes.
Of course.
Morning, David.
Great to. Hi, Julian.
Hi. Will you read the
Hi
page
there.
number when you start? The page where you're reading?
Yes. Did you get the new book? Did you get the new book?
Yeah, I've got
Hey, Mazel Tov. Okay. But we switched. We're using the old version again.
it.
Just kidding.
I know.
Okay. So yes, we're gonna start on page we're gonna start on page 1. I see because I stapled it here. 120. I stapled it right through. 122.
Rabbi, are we using the same book?
Yeah. Same book.
Okay.
Yeah. 122. So what we've been talking about, because we had a few weeks of a break, so I want to just jump back into that. Wait, a few people in here. What we've been talking about in this chapter 6, is the midah, the trait, the attribute of zerizus. And zerizus means, the English word is alacrity, but it basically means acting with force and speed almost to perform our service of Hashem, not allowing the mitzvos and the obligations that we have towards Hashem to become stale, or in the terminology of the Talmud, to become like chametz, right? To become like chametz. When you're making matzah, you mix flour and water, and if you wait too long, meaning more than 18 minutes, your matzah becomes chametz, right? So it's not a coincidence, the Talmud points out, that the word matzah and the word mitzvah are almost identical. In fact, if you look at the plural, right, you have one matzah. How many? If you have 2 matzah, what is it? 2 matzot, right? And it's spelled mem tzadi vav taf. And the word mitzvot is spelled the same way, just it's an extra vav. So the Talmud points out the connection between matzah and mitzvah is that we should look at our mitzvos in a similar way that we look at our matzos. Just like we don't want our matzah to tarry, to delay too long before it becomes chametz, so too we don't want our mitzvos to tarry for too long, because we can miss opportunities. And we all know, I'm sure we can all think we could probably spend the next half hour talking about examples in our own lives where we had a chance to do a mitzvah, and for some reason or another, we hesitated, whatever the reason may have been. And when we turned around, the mitzvah was gone. The opportunity to do the mitzvah was gone. So the idea of zerizus is being bold and being forceful in our avodas Hashem, doing our service of Hashem with energy and with excitement and with intensity and with devotion, as opposed to doing it in a sort of casual or cavalier type of way. Did somebody say something?
Determination.
Germination, is that what you said?
Determination.
Determination, right. Determination. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to pick up on page 122 on the bottom where it says further elaboration on how laziness is an impediment to spiritual attainment. What we were talking about up until now is that the opposite side of this equation is laziness. Now, I'm sure no group, Zoom group, has struggles with laziness at all. I'm sure that's not something that anybody, has ever had a hard time with. Thank you for laughing there. Appreciate that. Some laziness is obviously one of the hardest things that everybody struggles with at one point or another. At different times, you feel more lazy, you feel less lazy, but laziness is one of the things that gets in the way of us being able to achieve and accomplish spiritually and to serve Hashem with determination. And I think it's something that we all, if we're being real, if we're being honest with ourselves, we all have to grapple with it sometime or another in our lives. Okay, some people are inherently more lazy. Some people have overcome laziness to some degree or another, but we all struggle with it on some level or another. And he says, we see with our own eyes many, many times how a man's heart already knows what his obligation is, meaning a person could be fully aware of his responsibility vis-a-vis Hashem. He knows he's supposed to pray every day. She knows that she's supposed to learn Torah every day. We know what our obligations are. We know what our responsibilities are. We know that we're supposed to do this. We know we're supposed to give tzedakah. We know we're supposed to, build a sukkah, and by the way, take down the sukkah. I'm not, calling anybody out, but I do happen to see someone's sukkah is still up in the background over there. Don't worry, mine's still up too. One year, I didn't go down until Hanukkah, and it was like piled in snow. All right, so I'm just joking over there, but it's right. We can't be lazy in our service of Hashem, and a person might know what his obligation is, and he's already been he needs to save. So he's no question for knowledge of understanding what he needs to do to develop his relationship with Hashem and to avoid what he needs to avoid, and him by his creator. Nevertheless, he will leave all of this undone, not for lack of recognizing that obligation, no reason other than that the sluggishness born of his laziness prevails over him. Okay, so sometimes we're just, if you've ever read the Song of Songs, Shir HaShirim, It's a beautiful allegory that was written by King Solomon, describing the relationship between Hashem and the Jewish people. And the whole thing is meant to be understood as an allegory. You should read it. It's really quite beautiful. And there's a sort of climactic moment where the beloved of this woman has her beloved has left. He's departed. He's gone off to a distant land. She thought he was never going to come back. She waited for him. She yearned for him. She was longing for him. Finally, she got tired. She gave up waiting. She got in bed and she started to go to sleep, and there was a knock on the door. And she said, "Who is it?" And he said, "It's me. It's your beloved." And she said, "I'm too tired. I've already gotten into bed. I've already put on my pajamas or whatever." And he knocks again, and she's too tired to open the door. 6 times he knocks, and 6 times she says over and over again, "I'm too tired. I don't have the energy anymore. I've given up. I don't have it in me." And she doesn't answer the door. And it's a very sad parable that describes, according to Rav Soloveitchik, there's a beautiful, beautiful essay that Rabbi Yosef Soloveitchik wrote called Kol Dodi Dofek. In Hebrew, it's called Kol Dodi Dofek. In English, it's the voice of my beloved knocks. And he describes the 6 knocks of the beloved, of the husband, of the boyfriend or whatever, as 6 moments in history where Hashem knocked at our door to try to wake us up. And the Jewish people were too tired, too jaded, too depleted to respond. Very, very interesting. I recommend reading it. It's quite interesting and it's very beautiful. But that's the sad story of the Song of Songs, that we become too lazy to respond to Hashem's call. And in our own lives, we have to somehow find that strength, that energy. And as we get older, it gets harder. When you're young, you're energized, you're ambitious, you're willing to work hard. But as you get older, you get, you slow down. You retired. You get a little bit, less zerizus, and that's a very, very problematic thing that he's talking about over here. So he says, and he borrows that upon that stylistic approach of the Song of Songs. He says, he therefore says to himself, "I will eat a little bit first, or I will sleep a little bit first, or it's difficult for me to leave my house to go to pray or study because I've taken my robe off. How can I put it back on again? Or because it's very hot outside, or it's extremely cold, or it's raining, or any of the other excuses and pretexts with which the mouths of lazy people are filled." Okay, these are all attempts put forth by the Yetzer Hara, that evil inclination of ours, that cunning, powerful, negative inclination that we have, to prevent us from achieving what we have the ability to achieve. And it comes in so many forms, but in the simplest form, it's, it's freezing cold outside. Yeah, there's a, am I breaking up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay. There's a class tonight, but it's 20 degrees outside and it's snowing, or I can't get up to go to daven because it's so early. These are all things that we all struggle with. I mean, I have no excuse. Where I live, we have a minion factory. You know what a minion factory is? A minion factory is a place where every 20 minutes, starting at 8 p.m. until probably 1 a.m., there's a Mariv a minion for the nighttime prayer service. Every 20 minutes, 8, 8:20, 8:49, 9:20, 9:40, 10, 10:20, 20, 10:40. And it's a 5-minute walk from my house. So I really have no excuse ever to miss praying Mariv, praying the evening service with a minion. But I still do it all the time. Cause I, took a shower. I got in my pajamas already. It's late. I'm tired. I got to get up early. And so Zrizus is all about overcoming that natural tendency that we have towards sluggishness, towards laziness, towards just melting into the couch at the end of a night. How easy is it at the end of a night just to melt into the couch, grab the clicker, and watch whatever you want to watch, or just whatever. It's very, very easy. It's hard at that point when you're tired at the end of the night to say, I'm going to spend a half an hour learning Torah because I didn't get my Torah learning done today. Or, I'm going to get up and say Shema and pray Mariv, or whatever it is. Or I'm going to make a phone call to somebody who could use a phone call right now. It's hard to do all that, but that's what the mitzvahs demand of us, to overcome that tendency.
David,
So he says, yeah.
Would you do me a favor?
I have the same problem. People don't want to come to the dentist. It's too hot. It's too cold. I just don't feel like it. And there's always some issues. It's so rainy or this or that. And even if they've got problems. But another thing is, how many people say, I don't go to shul because it doesn't do anything for me?
Okay, that's a different question. That's an entirely different question, and I have a lot of thoughts about that, which I can address. Perhaps maybe we'll save a few minutes for that for the end. But the dentist is a good analogy, right? Because who wants? I mean, no offense, Dr. Jeffrey, but who wants to go to the dentist?
Nobody.
Exactly. You should have thought about that, before you went into the field. Okay. But that's
Thank you, Rabbi
analogy.
David, for that career advice. It's a little late, 50 years later.
But it's actually, I like the analogy though, because, but, and who wants to go to shul? I mean, look, some people get a lot out of prayer, and some people get a lot out of the experience of going to pray in synagogue. But to be honest, a lot of people don't, or sometimes you do and sometimes you don't.
Right.
So to motivate yourself to go do something just because it's your obligation when you don't really feel like doing it, it's very hard. It's very hard.
I would make the analogy, it's more like exercising. We know what's good for us, but we make excuses not to go. But when you do it, you feel a lot better. Same thing with
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's very true. That's really true. I mean, exercise is a perfect analogy for this. We all know how much we should be exercising. We all have a resistance to doing it. I mean, but I guess a lot of it is just, the training and the wiring. You can wire yourself to habits. It's identifying what the habits are that you want to have, and then repeating them consistently over and over again for a period of time until it just becomes wired into who you are and what you do. For me, to not pray, to not daven Mariv, to not say the Mariv service it's not an option. It's not even like, should I or should I not? Whether I should get up and get dressed and go to the minyan or just do it by myself at home, sometimes I struggle with that. Why? But why is it not even enter my mind just to blow it off, or to blow off davening in the morning, to blow off putting my tefillin and saying the Amidah? Why? I don't even think about that. It doesn't even cross my mind. Why? Just because I've habituated. It's become a habit. It's become so ingrained and habitual for me that it doesn't even cross my mind. It's like, it doesn't cross your mind not to brush your teeth at night, or shouldn't, at least. Why? Because you've been doing it for 50, 60, 70 years. It's just part of so that's how we fight laziness, is we ingrain behavior, that we identify the behavior that we want, and then we ingrain it into ourselves through habitual repetition. The problem with that then is that once it becomes a habit and something that you just do out of rote, then it's hard to still feel a meaning or connection to it. It doesn't feel exciting or inspiring sometimes. It just feels like something you've got to do. Anyway, let's finish this paragraph. So he says, so we have all these excuses, right? It's how can I get dressed again? I've already taken off my robe, or it's hot outside, or it's cold, or it's raining, all of these excuses. Meanwhile, the Torah is left unstudied and the divine service is neglected. And the person effectively abandons his creator. Okay. Yes, those are all good reasons. And it can be very cold outside, or it can be very hot outside, or I can be very tired. But if I give in over and over, constantly, consistently every day to these excuses, then in the end of the day, the Torah is left unstudied. The divine service is neglected. And here's what how King Solomon summarizes this of course, in Koheles. He says, through laziness, the ceiling sags, and through idleness of the hands, the house leaks. What do you think of that analogy? I put some thought into that analogy. What's he saying? What's he saying? I'll read it again. Through laziness, the ceiling sags, and through idleness of the hands, the house leaks. What's the comparison that he's making? What's the message that he's trying to communicate? What'd you say?
Our habits that we internalize that kind of guarantee that they can actually be performed, but we have to maintain a level of sensitivity so that we actually respond to that internalized bit of knowledge.
Okay. Okay. Good. But what's the analogy with the ceiling sagging and the leaking? What's he talking about?
Well, you're ignoring the sign that something's wrong. You look at the ceiling over and over and over again. You see it sagging and you ignore it. And then it leaks because you never took it upon yourself to do anything about it.
Okay, good. That's the simple analogy. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, a house needs maintenance if you want to keep it up and keep the quality and of the house. And if you don't pay attention, have vigilance, and maintain your house, it's going to be deteriorate.
Exactly. That's clear. As I got a message from one of my wise students here privately, yeah. And that's exactly what he's saying. And the analogy, and Mike, your point is exactly right, which is that the house is it needs maintenance. You can't just let it be. Like any relationship needs maintenance. You need to invest in the relationship. You can't, just think that everything's going to be great in your relationship with your spouse because, when I got married, 50 years ago, I told you I loved you. And if anything changed, I would have let you know, it doesn't work that way. You got to constantly be investing in the relationship. And that's the same thing with Hashem in our spiritual relationship. We have to be always working on it, investing in it. And like Rabbi Twersky once said, spiritual growth is like climbing up a down escalator, right? If you do nothing, you're going down. So it's the same thing with your house. If you're not maintaining it, it's deteriorating. I thought about this.
My wife just heard that comment, and now I got a really long honey-do list for the house maintenance. I'll be busy the rest of the day.
Perfect.
I'll be busy
It's
the rest
Sunday.
of the day.
So I was thinking about this, taking a little bit deeper. The ceiling sags. So I thought about that. Why did he specifically say the ceiling sags? So the ceiling, maybe this is just a thought. Maybe the ceiling represents my potential, right? The ceiling is how high I can reach, my potential. And when I'm not applying myself with determination and diligence and consistency and hard work and sacrifice, then the ceiling sags, my potential diminishes. What I'm capable of, what I can put into this world, what I can create, what I can do, my potential continues to get less and less.
A sagging ceiling.
Right. And then
a sagging ceiling.
Say it again, Les.
A sagging ceiling means that we are not paying enough attention to the support structure that keeps the ceiling up.
Okay, good, good. We have to pay the support structure, which in our analogy is the Torah, the mitzvos, the tefillah, the prayer, all those things.
We are not paying
So-
enough attention.
I was thinking about this, David, that
Mhm.
when you're lazy, you're on your back, in bed, on the sofa, on the ground, looking up. And there it is. It's sagging clearly. And you're
Yeah.
not doing anything about it. You could wish it away or deny it. What are you gonna do? It's right there, look at it every single day, and you're lazy, and that's how you see it. And then what's the second part? Laziness, and then
And then the
idle
hand
hands. Idle
causes the
hands,
house to
because
leak.
you're not doing anything but just looking at the ceiling. It's not gonna fix it by itself.
Right,
So it's
Exactly.
like a free will thing. This is up
Right.
to you.
very good, good. And then the second part, what I was thinking about, the house leaking. So what does it mean when the house is leaking? So your house is supposed to protect you from outside elements. That's the purpose of the house, right? And in spiritual terms, what that means is that, I've created a life for myself based on my values, based on what's important to me, how I want to raise my children, how the type of home that I want to have. If I'm lazy and I'm not supporting it and I'm not working hard to maintain it, then the house starts leaking. Things from the outside, values that are foreign to my own perspective, start to leak into my world, into my worldview. And all of a sudden I lose my integrity. I lose what I stand for. I lose what I believe in, because I've been too lazy to defend it. We have to be able to know what we believe in and know what we stand for, and to work vigilantly to defend those values that we've identified in our lives. And if we're not working hard to defend them, they weaken and they soften, and things that we never dreamed we would have in our homes, or things that we never believed would be part of our world,
Hoping to get
enter
to the
in.
store later today.
So, okay, 1 second.
One more thing,
Fine.
David, you also are letting the Yetzer Hara in. By
Right.
neglecting your support structure and your home and your defenses, you're letting him
Yetzer Hara
slowly
leaks
percolate
in.
in.
Leaks in, exactly. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph now. So he says, laziness can even distort a person's thought process. Okay, now, basically what this means is, we'll see in a minute, but my laziness means my resistance toward achieving a certain goal, or to doing a certain action, or reaching a certain objective, because of the hard work that's going to be involved in achieving that, and the sacrifice that's going to be involved, and the amount that I'm going to have to push myself beyond the comfort zone that I'm in currently. And that's why I don't do these things, and that's why I feel lazy. That's why my laziness prevents me from doing the things that I may have identified as being what I want to achieve in my life. But I can't live with that. I can't just say, hey, the reason why I didn't accomplish my dream was because I was too lazy. Or the reason why I didn't achieve this particular goal is, I was sluggish. I couldn't get out of bed. I don't want to say that. I don't want to admit that to myself. So what do? I have to rationalize and justify my failure to reach my potential in some other way. So I have to come up with all kinds of fakakta ideas and explanations and rationalizations and justifications in order to justify my failure, my inability to Hey, Steve,
Mm.
my inability to do what I wanted to do. So therefore, I end up having a twisted thought process. I end up thinking about things in a distorted way in order to rationalize and justify my failure, because I can't look in the mirror and say I was just too lazy to achieve this goal or to do what I wanted to do. Hang on. I think Steve wants to say hi.
Shalom.
Dude. David,
Shalom, dude. Yeah.
would it be rude of me to say, "Could we skip this thing while your mother's on the,
Why do you think I
Right,
chose
Steve.
this week?
I don't think that's nice.
Sorry. Now, here we go. Let's see what he says. So if you were to confront and ask the lazy person to explain his idle ways, why, sir, are you not doing what you know you should do? Why are you not working harder to achieve more, to accomplish more? Why are you not whatever? So what's he going to say? So he'd come back to you with many statements of the sages, verses from scriptures, logical arguments, all of which instruct him according to his perverse reasoning to make it easy for himself and to leave himself in the comfort of his laziness. In other words, he's going to cobble together sources from the Torah, sources from the rabbis, and create a brilliant justification and rationalization for his behavior. And he does not see that those spurious arguments and reasons are not born out of his sound judgment. Rather, the source from which they grow, from which they flow, is his laziness, which grows ever stronger within him and sways his judgment and intellect to believe these arguments, so that he does not heed the voice of the wise and people with correct perception. Okay, we'll leave that in a second. But basically, this is what the Torah refers to as, in a sense, this is a form of bribery. Bribery. Now, what do I mean by that? The Torah says that we're told not to take a bribe. Don't take a bribe. What does it mean? Don't take a bribe. On the simple level, it means if somebody's, if you're a judge in a court and somebody says, "Hey, I'll give you, 100 shekels if you find me innocent," that's obviously a bribe. But there's another psychological concept of a bribe that the Torah is talking about, and that is, don't let your desire for comfort and ease bribe you into choosing things in life that are not going to be equal to your potential. Does that make sense? We all have this pull towards inertia. We all have this pull towards, all I really want to do right now is just sit on the couch or get in bed or go to sleep. Right? There's this death wish that we all have. I don't want to do the hard work. I'm retired now. I put in my years. I don't want to push myself to get up early. I don't want to push myself to understand this difficult concept in Torah beyond the surface level. I don't want to push myself to pray with intention and focus. I don't want to push myself to learn the Hebrew words and what they mean. It's easy for me just to say it in English. All these things, I don't want to push myself. Okay. So because of that, I bribe myself with rationalization and justification, into coming up with reasons why I don't really need to do that. It's not the right thing for me. It's not good for me. It's unhealthy for me, or it's not to my benefit, or whatever it is. We're not thinking straight. We're not applying seichel to our lives. We're allowing our desires to guide us and direct us, and not what we know intellectually to be what we want to achieve and accomplish.
Yeah, but you're also not taking responsibility.
And we're not taking responsibility, right?
Right.
And
So
and what's worse is that what he just says over here, we don't heed the voice of the wise and the people with correct perception. Meaning it gets to a point where even if someone were to come up to you, and this is, by the way, one of the hardest things as a parent, as a teacher, as a rabbi, any time in our lives where we have, people sort of in our sphere of influence. I think as parents, for sure, you see your children being lazy, or you see somebody not reaching their potential, and you want to help them and you want to encourage them, but they don't want to hear it from you.
Exactly.
They don't want to have anything to do with you. And if you push them too much, they'll pull away from you. So, because the bottom line is, once a person has sort of locked in that form of behavior, they don't want to hear what wise people have to say around them. They don't want to hear what parents have to say, what teachers have to say. What is that? Okay. Anyway. Oh boy. Okay.
You're too old. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Okay. So now let's just see what he says over here. This tendency of the lazy person to reject the opinions of the wise in favor of his own warped perception is what Shlomo, King Solomon, means when he cries out and says, the lazy one is wiser in his own eyes than 7 who answer sensibly. For his laziness does not allow him even to consider that there might be some validity to the words of those who rebuke him. Rather, he considers all of them misguided to be misguided and fools, and thinks that he alone is wise. Okay, that's it. I'm the chacham. I'm the wisest person. I know. What do they know? What are these people in my life who are telling me that I need to do this or change this or develop this? What do they know? They don't. They're not. They're foolish. They're not wise people. I'm the chacham, right? They're misguided, and that's how we basically end up avoiding listening to what people are telling us in our lives, our parents, our friends, our teachers, our mentors. The way to avoid this insidious cycle. Okay, let's do this, and maybe we'll stop here. So now you should know that this following rule is a great principle that is tried and true in acquiring the skill of abstinence from improper behavior. Okay, here we go. That every leniency requires examination to ensure that it is appropriate. I'll explain what this means in a minute. For although it may indeed be correct and proper, it is nevertheless more likely that it comes from the counsel of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, and its deceptions. Therefore, one must examine the proposed leniency with many probings and thorough questions. And if after all of these examinations, it is determined that the leniency is indeed warranted, then it is certainly good. Let me explain this in the context first of halacha, Jewish law, and then I'll explain it in a broader context.
My hair right now.
If somebody, is looking for a leniency in their observance, right? They're looking for a way out of some halachic obligation that they have. Okay, maybe they're trying whatever it is. You could come up with anything, in any area of Jewish life. As a rabbi, people are always calling you, looking for leniencies. Rabbi, do I have to fast this year on Yom Kippur? Last year I fasted and I got dizzy and whatever. Or I have all my kids and I'm a single mom and I have all my kids, and people are calling all the time looking for leniencies. So when leniencies come around, oftentimes the appropriate course is to follow the leniency. That's why leniencies exist. That's why the Talmud records opinions, not just the opinion that we follow, but even the lenient opinions that we don't follow, because sometimes there are situations in less than ideal circumstances where the correct and appropriate thing to do is to follow the lenient opinion. Okay. But if you notice that in your life, you're always gravitating towards the lenient opinion in every matter of Jewish law, then you have to ask yourself, am I shooting straight or am I just looking for easy way out all the time? So that's, in the sense of, in the realm of halacha, or in the realm of morals and ethics, when you look, when you're contemplating a course, taking the direction that's easier, you're at a crossroads, you're trying to decide what to do. Should I say something to this person or should I not say something to this person about what offended me or what they did that hurt me? So it's easier not to. It's easier not to. It's easier not to say something than to say something. Or, should I, is it the right thing for me to do right now to go make that visit to that person who's, alone and doesn't have anybody to visit them or not? So the easier thing in that situation is to not go. So whenever I'm leaning towards letting myself off the hook, either halachically or morally or ethically or in any way, I have to know that it's probably, or at least quite likely, coming from my tendency, the human tendency towards laziness. And I have to, therefore, I can't just say, okay, I'm going to let myself off the hook, let myself off the hook, let myself off the hook. I have to analyze and say, is this really the right thing to do? So a gravitating towards a leniency in any decision should be a red flag that should tell you, it could be this is the work of the Yetzer Hara. And you need to analyze it and think about it. Now, after you analyze it and think about it and pause and consider it, if in the end of the day, you still decide that it's the right thing not to say anything in this situation, or it's the right thing not to go visit this person for whatever reason, then okay, you thought about it, you analyzed it, and you were as objective as you could be. Or maybe you even asked for some advice from somebody who is objective. Okay, and then it's fair to assume that the lenient direction is the correct one. But you have to at least see a red flag pop up every time your initial reaction is to go towards letting yourself off the hook in life. Okay, because the Yetzer Hara is always trying to get you to let yourself off the hook, because real growth and real excellence and real accomplishment comes when we don't let ourselves off the hook, when we take the harder choice, when we push ourselves out of what's comfortable, out of what we feel like doing. That's where we grow. That's where we become great. And the Yetzer Hara the job of the Yetzer Hara is to provide resistance towards you becoming great.
Oh my gosh.
So the Yetzer Hara is going to do everything it can to prevent your greatness from being actualized. So therefore, we have to, whenever we hear ourselves, the voice inside of us that says, no, you don't have to do that, or you can take the easy way out over here. We have to be suspicious that that's not our rational mind speaking, but it's our rationalizing mind speaking, and we have to be careful and think it through carefully. Yeah, Susie, did you put your hand up?
Yes. I think an offshoot of this laziness is procrastination. And I think that is even easier to do, because you're not saying I'm not going to do it. You're saying I'm going to do it after I drink my coffee,
Tomorrow.
or I'm going to do it after I X.
Yeah.
And then it's easier to let yourself off the hook if you procrastinate it, rather than just say I'm not doing it. No, that's against my values. I have to do it, but just not this minute.
Right. That's such a great point. And that's when your matzah becomes chametz. That's procrastination, right? When you wait 1 minute, you wait 1 minute too long, and your 18-minute matzah is now chametz. And right, procrastination is the sophisticated version of laziness. It's not that I'm not going to do it. Of course I'm going to do it. It's the right thing to do, and I'm going to do the right thing. But I'll do it a little bit. What's the rush? What's the rush?
David, there's also
Yeah.
some psychological things here. Procrastination is often a function of perfectionism. So it's not really that you're lazy, it's that you can't accept the fact that it's not going to be perfect. And, you just don't want to go through the pain of doing something good, whereas good is the foe of, what is it?
Perfection is the enemy of good.
Perfect is the enemy of good. That is one
Yeah.
thing. And the other thing is having a mentor. If you've got a mentor, you can bounce all these things off of them and say, I think I'm entitled to a leniency here. But I thought about that yesterday and 2 days ago and last week I was giving myself the same rationalizations perhaps. What do you think?
Right. That's exactly correct. And it's very possible that you're right, that you are eligible for a leniency over here, and again, leniencies that you could talk about them in the context of halacha, or you could just talk about them in the context of, doing the right thing or making hard choices and cutting yourself some slack, or in any area of life. But you're right, Jeffrey is 100% right. What you're saying is that is where having a mentor or even a friend, an objective person in your life, is crucial, because then you can go to that person and say, hey, am I just rationalizing over here? And if they're a good friend, they'll say, you know what? Yeah, I think you are. I think you're, you can push yourself a little bit more here.
How about people that always pick the hard way? When I was doing geometry, I often got to the bottom line, but it took 3 pages. And then the teacher had a more elegant proof. So what about if you habitually take the hard way and believe that the only way that you can do it is the hard way, and people show you that there's an easier way?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think you can err. I think you can err on
the
that
other
side
side
also.
too. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyone else?
Definitely. Les, I see your virtual hand up there.
I was just thinking as I was listening that the Yetzer Hara is both good and bad, in the sense that it's bad because it presents such a challenge, but it's good because it presents a challenge, and the challenge itself makes the effort worthwhile. If it were real easy to accomplish, the value of the decision would be that much diminished.
Which is exactly why we always say that the Yetzer Hara is not our enemy. The Yetzer Hara is our brutal coach, and who is pushing us brutally and relentlessly towards excellence and actualization. That's the real role of the Yetzer Hara, is to play that role, to help to push you and provide resistance against you so that you can reach actualization. Yeah. Okay, let's just read this next sentence and then we'll sum it up over here. So the sum of the matter is, a person must greatly fortify and strengthen himself with zrizus to perform mitzvos, with determination, with vigilance, with not vigilance, alacrity, by casting off the sluggishness of laziness that impedes him from performing them. Okay, the chapter closes with a final note of the distinction of the zrizus. You can see that the angels are praised for having this good trait, as it is stated regarding them, the strong warriors who do his bidding to hear the voice of his word. Strong warriors. We have to be warriors in our lives. The Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law, that codifies all of Jewish law from the beginning to the end. The very first thing Rabbi Yosef Cairo writes there is that when you wake up in the morning, you should wake up like a lion and be fierce and bold and strong and powerful in your commitment to serve Hashem. I had a friend in yeshiva who took this very seriously. He used to wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. and he'd go, "Roar!" And he would wake me up every morning. I used to throw pillows at him. It was he's still a good friend of mine. But anyway, so that is what this is all about. And that's the Mida. Got to continue more next week, how to acquire this Mida and what the details are and how to avoid the things next week. Okay, good to be back. Good to see everybody back. And
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. You're all welcome
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Hope you survive
Okay.
a couple days with Steve.
Yeah, I'll need some. Pray for me. Pray for me.
You're gonna really need some, diligence and strength. That's for sure.
Yes. Yes. Steve says, I know that had to do with me. That's what Steve says. In the back end. It was your buddy Glickman over here. Of course. All right. Take
All
care,
right.
everybody. Be well.
All right.
Come on,
Bye-bye.
David.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay. All the best.